Once upon a lazy summer's day, a little girl and her brother had gone to the sandy beach near their home. The sun was warm, the sky was blue. The boy had made a flute, the little girl a toy boat.
Hey, you want to hear me play my flute?
As the boy played his flute, the little girl noticed that someone else had stopped to listen. And indeed, a little mouse was sitting on the sand just a few inches away from the children, a tiny, furry ball of a mouse. The little girl thought the mouse was very cute, so she carefully scooped him up in her hands, and she held him out for the boy to see.
Hey, tell you what, let's see if he can swim.
But the little girl didn't want to have the mouse hurt, so she ran as fast as she could to the edge of the lake, to where her toy boat lay. She set the tiny ball of fur into the boat and carefully set him out to sea.
Girls are so silly. I wasn't really going to throw him in the lake.
But though the little boy and girl wouldn't have harmed him, other dangers lurked, even upon the placid waters of the lake. The seagulls could prove to be big trouble for the little mouse. The boat tipped. The little mouse fell into the lake. He tried to climb onto the overturned boat, but he was just too little. The gulls were hungry, and that made the little mouse fair game. Frightened, he swam as quickly as he could to the shore. Where to hide? Where? There, under the leaf. And he was right. The leaf made a good hiding place, for the gulls tired of looking for such a small, tasty morsel and soared back into the sky in search of worthier prey.
Whew, that was close. I'd better be on guard against big trouble. Now, where am I?
But even before the little mouse could explore, darkness fell. Strange sounds filled the air. Some sounds were even more frightening than others. But frightened though he was, the little mouse was also hungry. He nibbled on a leaf of a plant.
Ugh, not very tasty.
A long blade of grass would give both moisture and food. And the little mouse found a good blade of grass, but what was that? Big trouble, thought the little mouse, and ran away as fast as he could. The sun rose and brought a bright new day. The sleepy little mouse stirred in the crook of the tree where he had spent the night.
Oh, I think I'll just look around.
And the mouse looked about the tree. A spider was building her home of lace. The little mouse wanted to touch the pretty lace.
Go away, I don't want you here.
The spider wanted no help from the little mouse. So the mouse went in search of more friendly creatures. Would he find friends on the ground? The butterflies were too fast to fly away.
I could see better from the top of a hill,
thought the mouse. In the distance, he spotted a hole in the ground. And he wondered if he might safely crawl inside that hole. It was worth a try, he decided. And so he scampered off to the hole in the ground.
I'll just peek inside.
But though he didn't know it, that decision was not wise because the hole was already occupied by bumblebees. Angry bumblebees. Just who was this intruder, wondered the bees. They gathered together and planned their attack to ward off the outsider.
They're not very friendly.
Big trouble seems to be everywhere, thought the little mouse.
I'll have to be more careful.
So, without further ado, he scampered away, again finding a friendly leaf. And he curled himself into a warm little ball. When his tiny heart stopped racing and when he thought it might be safe, he carefully looked about. The bees were gone. Seeing movement high in a nearby tree, the little mouse set out once more upon his quest to find himself a home.
A home in the treetops.
But the baby birds told the little mouse that he was not welcome in their home. So again he ran away. Dark clouds gathered. Thunder roared, and a cold rain poured down. The little mouse had tried in vain to find a friend, but he had found none. He saw the unfriendly bees fly back to their home. But still the little mouse had found no home. The squirrel ran into his home, but woe was he.
Everybody seems to have a home, except for me.
The rain finally ended, and a beautiful rainbow appeared. The little mouse knew that to have a home, he must build one. If the little birds could live in a nest above the ground, so could he. Many tall and sturdy weeds grew in the field. So he chose the sturdiest of stalks. Here he would build his home. Finally, the job was done.
And I have my home.
But the mouse also needed food. And food isn't always so easy to find. But strange creatures seem very easy for the little mouse to find. Never having seen a snail before, the little mouse decided it might be best to forsake food. So he ran away from the snail and curled up in his cozy new home. As the summer changed to autumn, the sturdy stalks in which the little mouse had built his home weakened and were easily tossed about in the strong winds. Autumn rains brought colder winds. The little mouse was tossed to and fro, and unknown creatures from within the earth below didn't help a bit.
Now, how did I get down here?
The little mouse was curious. He noted the mound of dirt that had weakened his home above the ground, but what had caused the mound? Aha! A creature, the likes of which the little mouse had never seen. A groundhog? The mouse would have a word with him.
Hey, where'd you go?
But the groundhog was not to be found. However, he'd given the mouse an idea.
If others can live deep in the safety of the earth, so can I,
thought the little mouse. So the mouse began to dig and dig and dig to build himself a home. The mouse knew he had no time to waste. The geese were flying south. Winter would soon be upon him. There was much to do.
This is my home. I like it. Surely no harm can come to me here.
The little mouse was so proud of his home and the labor it had taken to build it. Surely he was safe at long last. The air grew colder. As autumn turned the leaves on the trees to gold, then brown and red. The leaves fluttered to the ground, and the brisk wind sent them flying across the fields. Then the wintry north wind blew in cold and angry. The sky was bleak and gray. Snow fell upon the countryside and covered the trees and earth in a blanket of white. The world became a shimmering wonderland of beauty. The little mouse had never seen snow before. Perhaps he would play in it. It was soft, but
Brrr.
it was also very cold. He ran back into his cozy home, deciding that he would stay indoors until his world became warm and green again. The little mouse was happy he had set in such a supply of food. He ate, and he ate, and he ate. Then he became very tired and ran to his little grass bed.
Oh, I think I'll just take a nice long nap.
But just about as he was to catch 40 winks, an elk thundered out of the night, and the mouse's home began to cave in upon him.
Oh, I've got to get out of here.
The little mouse feared that this was the end, and it almost was. But luckily, he found his way to a snow-covered field. It was a cold, wintry night, and now that his home had been destroyed, the mouse did not know where to go. But deciding any place was better than where he was, he started off across the snow. But then,
oh, more big trouble.
A big old owl zoomed out of the night sky and scooped up the little mouse. Before the mouse ever knew what was happening, old Mr. Owl lived in a big old tree high on a hill in the forest. Mr. Owl would want more than just a tiny mouse for breakfast, so away he flew again in search of more food.
Now, where am I? Now, if I can just reach that opening. Let's try. Whoops. Almost there. Oh.
The mouse could see that he was in an owl's nest. And while the view was very pretty, the mouse knew that he must make his escape now before the owl returned. So, without even thinking that he might fall, the little mouse climbed down the tree trunk to the ground.
That was a very tall tree.
He knew he must be far away before the owl's return. But which way should he go? Yes, he would go in that direction. He scampered off across the snow. Not a moment too soon either, for a sly red fox had ventured forth to seek his breakfast. And to a fox, a little mouse is a rare delicacy. I do believe I smell a tasty morsel. The red fox set off in pursuit of the little mouse. A fox has a very keen sense of smell. He smiled in anticipation. It would take only a few more seconds. The little mouse sensed that danger was near.
Trouble just seems to be following me.
But as luck would have it, a house was nearby, and the two dogs that lived there were not fond of Mr. Fox. The dogs almost trampled the poor little mouse as they set off in hot pursuit of the fox. The little mouse was in luck, for there was a house. The little mouse had never been inside a house. Would a little mouse be safe inside a house, or would he find more trouble?
I'll have to be more careful. I have to learn to look before I leap, but I think I'll just eat this grain because I'm so hungry.
The grain was good. The house was warm and cozy. But there was something else. What was it? The little mouse had heard that sound before. Could it be? It was.
I know them.
And indeed, it was the little boy who played the flute and the little girl who sent him sailing so long ago. Looking up from her book, the little girl caught sight of the mouse. She recognized him right away.
I think you're right. I think it is the little mouse.
But the little mouse had been so close to big trouble in the past that he had become cautious of all creatures. So, as they approached him, he hid behind a crate that was in the room. The little boy played his flute, hoping that the music would tell the mouse that he was safe here. The little girl wanted so much to see her friend again.
I'll bet the little fellow is hungry.
Well, little mice are always hungry, and this little mouse was no exception. Slowly and very carefully, the children made friends with the little mouse. The children decided that the little mouse would freeze outside. They would build a mouse house for him, and they decided to keep him warm and feed him throughout the winter. The little boy and girl made the mouse feel welcome, and they built him his own mouse house. The boy entertained him by playing his flute, and the girl fed him and played with him. The mouse enjoyed playing with his friends, and the children enjoyed playing with the mouse.
Oh, your fur is so soft,
said the little girl. The cold, hard winter passed, and spring brought beautiful blue skies. The little mouse went out to face the challenges of life. He knew he had been very lucky, and therefore he didn't waste any time at all worrying about big trouble.